Everyone, it's Graham Coath with another My Music 2. Be frank, it's that time of the day. It's 5 o'clock on a Friday when actually you really can't be asked to do any work. So if you are doing work, stop it now. Put it down, close that spreadsheet, save it first, and then we'll be back any second now to talk to James from the Slow Cooked Bears. But first, this from Analog Trash.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
And there you go. The little advert there from Analog Trash. Now, I have shown people this on Instagram before now, but I've never done it on one of these videos. So if you don't know about the Analog Trash Supporters Club before now, this is the most important thing you can possibly have in your wallet. Forget your American Express card. You can't use that in lots of places. But this, you can. It's the Analog Trash Supporters Card. I'm number 10. You could be number something else. If you want one of those, just go along to analogtrash.com and see what it's all about. But first, James, thanks for joining me.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I think I've been very lucky already in 2023 to be interviewing bands that have the best names in the history of names. The other week we had Flange Circus on, and
Wow.
now, yeah, exactly. And now Slow Cooked Bears. We've got to start there, really. Where did the name come from?
Well, we spent ages struggling for a band name, as I think a lot of people do. Just sat in bars like, oh God, what are we going to call ourselves? And we were watching an Attenborough, one of the nature things he does on the BBC. And there's a bit in all those episodes where he always tells everyone off at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And there's I think there was like polar bears in like a melting ice sheet, and he was going on about global warming, and it was like, okay, this is going to define this generation, and it's kind of like, okay, well, this is of the time. Let's encapsulate that in a name, and we're of this time, so that's going to define us. So
Yeah, we're slowly cooking the bears
yeah,
on the polar ice caps,
yeah.
which is a tragic shame, isn't it?
Mhm.
And how did you all come together?
So I was in bands in Nottinghamshire, where I'm originally from, and moved to London a few years ago, and was struggling actually to find the right people, which sounds ridiculous in London because there's so many musicians around, but was. And Yunsu was living with me at the time and said, "Oh, I'll give you a hand. I'll play bass on your recordings that you're doing at home." And we started writing together, and like, okay, we have a great sound actually together. So what was meant to be a temporary arrangement became a permanent arrangement, as often happens in these kind of band situations. And then we added a drummer, and he was with us for a little while, called Gareth. He did an amazing job. We played a bunch of gigs, and then he was still friends with him, but he couldn't keep up with doing the gigs all the time. So we went through not auditions, but had jams with another set of drummers, and we found Josh. And yeah, the rest was history. Wouldn't want anyone else in the band, to be honest.
No, but that kind of that guy in the middle it kind of made the process easier in a way, because at least you knew what you wanted then.
Yeah, and also, like I said, we're still friends. That's like everyone that's been in a band has contributed to wherever it's going at some point. So it was a big part of I wouldn't have got going without having had a drummer in the first place. So
Yeah. What was it you wanted to bring to the world of music that perhaps you weren't hearing when you started the band?
I don't know if it's something I wasn't hearing. I think I wanted to play music and enjoy playing it, playing it live. There is definitely a sound that we have that doesn't sound like other bands. Even the bands that are on our scene don't really sound like us. So I've never really tried to be like anyone else, but I don't know if it was like the aim to be specifically unique. It was just to enjoy what we were doing, really.
Yeah. In terms of how the songs get written, you said that the two of you were writing together. Do
hmm
you all three of you get now involved in the writing process, or is it? Yeah,
Everyone's always involved. I mean, I think I'm the instigator 9 times out of 10. So I'm bringing an idea, but it's very rarely fully formed. But it's never the same. We don't have a set formula. Sometimes it's just I bring a riff. Sometimes I've got like parts, but I don't know how to stick them all together.
yeah,
Um, and I kind of like that, to be honest, because if you just make something yourself, sometimes what you think sounds good, your perspective on it is affected, by your own perspective. So having other people kind of get involved and move things around, I think is a good thing.
yeah. I mean, obviously, I've had different types of musicians on here over the years, been doing this, and some have to work to a. They know exactly what they want. There's some
hmm
people out there that know exactly what they want. They almost know all of the parts. If they can, they might be able to play all of those parts themselves, or they can hear all of those parts, and they're basically looking for someone to provide the sonics behind those ideas
Mm.
and get them out. But it sounds like you're almost in the jam process in terms of working up the songs, which sounds nice.
I think we're sort of playing around like in a sandbox quite a lot of the time. So, like I said, it's
Yeah,
never really the same process. Sometimes we've come with an idea of lyrics and how we want the song to sound, but it always changes along the process. I think that's the fun in it, to be honest. Like uh, going from what it was at the beginning and hearing it kind of at the end when it's fully recorded, you're like, wow, that came from that. It's kind of amazing, really.
yeah. Have you got to the stage now where stuff gets sort of negated because it's not slow cook bears? If you know what I mean. Do you ever come up with ideas and you go,
Oh,
well, that's
definitely. Even from the start, like we'd write more than gets released, definitely, and stuff that we did at the beginning, that's recorded, not available everywhere, but if you look deep enough in different places, you'll find a couple of bits, and I want to leave that there because it's a testament of where we were at the time, but it's definitely not where we are now, and maybe doesn't represent us. So you wouldn't find that, say, on Spotify or something like that.
yeah. How are you finding it as a band, sort of releasing material in the modern age, where because we've kind of reached a. I feel we're going through quite a nice period music wise at the moment, where we're almost like in the same way that work is now a hybrid model. People are half working from home,
Mm,
half working in the office. We've kind of reached this period where, like, we're seeing sales of physical music actually beginning to creep up again,
mm.
and people want the tangible, but we've obviously got this distribution model which is digital, etc. How are you finding, sort of going between the two?
I wouldn't say we've got the answer to that. It's not easy. And I was actually watching somebody on YouTube the other day, a Venus Theory. I don't know if anyone's come across that channel before, but he actually gave some figures on this. It was quite surprising. I think every single day, 100,000 songs are uploaded to Spotify.
It's
So trying
mental.
to cut through that noise is ridiculous. And over 80% of Spotify artists don't have more than 50 monthly listeners, which is crazy. I think we're just above that. We've been in that zone for a few months now. So in that sense, we're like, oh, we're in the top 20%. Small win, but we're tiny, small fry compared to everyone else. But you take with it what it is. We actually made some vinyl, so we're not completely digital. I luckily met someone. We're from Deptford area,
Mm.
and there was a little record shop that used to be here, and a guy used to work there, and it turned out he also worked at One Little Indie, and he had some connections
Oh,
to make some records. So we got our first two singles printed on some little 7-inch vinyls, and you know, it's not like the old days where vinyl's selling everywhere, but it's nice to have something that will last, well, outlast us, I guess, not forever, but nice to have something real. But I think cutting through the noise on Spotify um, and the others is not easy. Um, so
and
yeah,
of course, cutting through the noise, I guess these days means doing a lot of social media, doing being on somewhere at all times in order to, you know,
maybe
point point back to what you are doing. Um,
yeah, I think some of that is secondary. There's a lot of focus on that, and it is more than important. But obviously, your base product, which is your song and your live performances, like if you're an artist, they're your bread and butter, and they're your product, and they should be like top top notch. So um, it's hard to get people to listen to something new that they're not familiar with, and I think, if anything, that might have got a little bit worse, where people can just go through and listen to their favorite tracks on a playlist, and getting exposure for an algorithm. I'm going to be honest, I don't know how many times I've picked up from a Spotify playlist or algorithm a new artist. I still find things in different ways, you know. So I maybe occasionally one or two, but
hmm.
um,
how are you finding music then? That's quite interesting. How do you
um,
as a listener find music?
to be really honest, a lot of things, which is kind of an old model, but in a new way. There's radio stations like KEXP in Washington, and there's other channels like Audio Tree. They have like YouTube channels, and they'll quite often highly produce a live band, and I'll find a band from that I've not come across before, and you see them live, and I think that's where you start to make a connection. So that is kind of a hybrid between social
Mm.
media and the live thing, and I think that's where the future is, I
Yeah,
guess.
I see that, you know, a lot of the people that come on here as well are you know, very much promoting things like Bandcamp, etc. as well. And I love Bandcamp as a platform, not just because it supports the artists a little bit better than some of the other platforms, shall we say, but it's the curation of it. I
Mm,
love actually reading, you know, someone's actually bothered to write, you know, a piece about a band or what that band are doing, etc. And then within that piece, they go, "Oh, you might want to listen to this, this, and this as well." I love that kind of curation where people are sort of taking you on that journey.
mm,
To me, that feels very much like where I discovered music when I was young,
yeah,
right? Where you'd go round to someone's house for the whole of the day and you'd sit there and, you know, people would take their own records and whatever and go, have a listen to this, you know, and oh, yeah, that sounds a bit like, yeah, actually, yeah, have you listened to that? Have you got that in your collection? Oh, yeah, put that on, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
That was where we were years ago.
Yeah, I think some of that still exists, but in a different format again. So you've got things like Discord where people have little community chats and they're sharing things that they
Mm,
like. That's another place you never really see that necessarily. It's, you can't really be going in there and being like, "Hey, check out my band," because that's like, oh no. But if somebody else says, "Oh, check out this band, they're cool and new," um, yeah, it's the million-dollar question, I guess.
yeah, but I think it's important. I think it's important that music survives in that kind of sort of more honest sort of dialogue between people and the sort of a passing down of sort of genuine love of,
Mm,
you know, of things, you know. And when you go out and play this music live,
yes.
um, in terms of the audience, you know, are you finding that the audience are very much uh, an audience that are becoming family as well?
Yeah, that's something. I think when I don't know, but it's hard to say you have fans and not friends, you know, because you talk to people. It's such a small, intimate setting that somebody that might potentially be a fan ends up becoming just a friend. so,
Yeah.
um, so yeah.
I think in a way that's quite nice. Even some of the bigger bands that I've talked to lately that are coming out of almost like the new scene.
Hmm.
I feel that there's much more of a grounding than there was there before. I feel that everybody realizes just what it takes
Hmm.
in terms of getting there.
Hmm.
And there's also, a great feeling of sort of support for each other, and there's less of a kind of rivalry. It's more of a kind of, actually, if we're all going on this journey, we're going on this journey together. Do you sense that?
I think it's 50-50. So it
All right.
depends on the gigs. We've we've had both. We meet bands and we get on like a house on fire, and I've made friends that are now friends for life, and you know, we all support each other. I've also had the opposite where it's probably a promoter thing. We're still finding our feet with what promoters we use and etc. Sometimes you just get stuck on a lineup with a random bunch of bands and they just leave before you've even played, not even giving you the chance. And um, yeah, so it's 50-50, I think, from us.
So remember, folks, it's the bands that drink together stay together.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
when it's just true, isn't it? It's important that I guess with that as well, it's always nice to within the field of music, even if you're doing your project, your thing, and you're your group. It's nice to actually meet people along the way where you think, well, maybe actually I can do something with you one day because maybe something of your sound or whatever will actually fit into something that I'm doing. So,
yeah.
I think musicians should be looking outwards all of the time.
It's also I think in the old days, the scene was you were quite tribal about what music you listened
Definitely.
to. I think
Yeah.
that's much more open now, and if you just see a band that's good, they're good, and if they're good and you like each other, that's like it's amazing to just appreciate that and support each other. Then you've got a community around you, and when you're at the gutter end where we're at in terms of live music, it's good to have a community around you because you've then got that support. So yeah, not that that's the reason to do it, but it's a nice thing that comes with it.
No, it's true. I mean, I was talking to someone from the fashion industry this morning for a different program, but and actually, you reminded me I should have asked her about that. But it's growing up, fashion and music were inextricably linked.
Yes,
There was absolutely no differential between them, and if you were into a particular kind of music, you would dress in a particular way and you would hang
definitely.
out with a particular group of people. But that doesn't seem the case now at all. I think sometimes you'll see a group of people and they may dress in a particular way, but actually, if you ask them what they're listening to, it's
You
like
wouldn't place it anymore. No, you would
you
know before, but not now. Yeah, you're
no,
right.
which
Yeah.
is good. Which is
Yes.
it is good. It's good that wall's broken down because
Yeah.
I think people are being actually genuinely much more honest about what they do like and what they don't like,
Definitely.
um, which is good. Tell us a little bit about your sound. How would you define the sound of Slow Cook Pairs?
We are an alternative rock band at heart, but I like the word alternative because it's quite loose, so
Yeah,
it opens things up quite a lot.
open
And
for interpretation.
exactly, and we don't really stick too hard to any style or genre for too long. We find that a little bit boring, and as a band, we actually realize we like it when other bands change their sound, even, which I know is not a popular opinion. It's an unpopular opinion, but um, I've always liked it. I don't want to hear a band make the same record. Maybe they can a couple of times, but like 3-4 times in a row, it's kind of okay. You've done that now. Like make something new and different. So yeah, alternative rock. There's a bit of like shoegaze in there loosely, and a bit of punk loosely in there. Um, And yeah, if I say some '90s bands like Smashing Pumpkins, it kind of gives you an idea again, because when you listen to their albums over time, they've not really stood still. Like even within an album, you listen to something like Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, there is like a pop
It's
song. There is,
orchestral, and it's
yeah, it's so we don't that's where we're very much in line with them, I think.
yeah, no, totally. I heard a little bit of placebo in the voice.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
Yeah,
Someone said to me once, "You're like a Midlands Brian."
Brian.
Yeah, which yeah, I'll take that. I do like placebo. That wasn't a conscious thing, but again, some people sometimes mention things like Bauhaus, and again, that wasn't something I particularly meant. But I think there's things that I like that we listen to that have maybe crept in, and they just can't place those references.
I don't think it's ever. I don't think it's ever an issue. I think it would be more of an issue if it was conscious.
Yeah.
If it's literally coming out of the fact that that's the tonal range of your voice, or
Mm.
there's similarities. Well, that's just fine.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. But it doesn't mean to say that your music will, because you're not shaping it. You know,
Exactly.
your music will waft in a different direction around that anyway. So it's it's all good. Look, everyone's always going to make some comparisons with music, because
Definitely.
music comes from music at the
Yeah.
end of the day. No one's going to listen to you there, James, and go, well, you sound like Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, but
True. Yeah.
you're never going to have that problem.
Yeah. Maybe that's the next style we'll go for, the next single.
Although it would be great to have a Christmas #1.
Yes, definitely.
That you could live off for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's more Noddy Holder than Mariah Carey for us.
Yeah. But I was astounded when I heard the figures for how much money that makes her every year. I was like, okay, well, yeah, one song and you can literally just live off it for forever and a day. It's just amazing. I mean, in terms of where the band wants to go next, what's the next great ambition for Slow Cook Bears?
I don't know if we have a lofty goal in this, say this year. We've kind of gone not back to the drawing board, but we've gone back to basics a little bit, because we're, again, as I've just kind of alluded to, we're going to slightly change our sound a little bit. We're also planning a release, which I'm not going to talk too much about, but speaks to that, not cutting through the noise, but having a product that's not just the same as what everyone else does. And that's not just to be different, that's just something we've kind of picked up on, and not drastically different, but just I think just doing things in our own way, that which is important. You get kind of blasted a lot these days with a release strategy, and you must do this and you must do that, and some of that stuff is really good advice, but if everyone's doing the same thing, how do you cut through that? So
yeah. So can you give us an inkling as to when the timescale of this thing that you're not going to talk about is going to happen?
It will be within this year. We're not quite at the stage where there is a release schedule in place, let's say, but the practicals of what we're doing are being arranged around this weekend, say. So yeah, we're figuring things out as we go along.
Well, you're doing a great job on the marketing right here, right now with that, because what you're doing is you're building the tension towards something, and people are now listening, going, "That's interesting. I'd love to know what it is that James and the Slow Cook Bears are going to do."
Okay.
If you want to find out. And that's where we would pause it, you see. That's where you would pause the video, and then it's, and then we could cut, just like Stephen Bartlett does on his little videos for his podcast. We'd cut it, and it'd be like everyone's going, yes, when's it going to happen? Well, you won't know. Find out at the end of season 5.
Yeah.
As it were. We don't know when the end of season 5 is coming, but
Yeah.
That's brilliant. If people want to listen to what you've done so far, I presume it's on all of the streaming channels.
It is,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Do you have a website as well?
We do have a website. It's just our name. Managed to bag that quite early on because that's always a fun job. But
Yeah.
not many of the bands are called the Slow Cook Bears, so that wasn't so hard.
Well, that is also part and parcel of actually picking a name these days, isn't it? You actually have to sit there and check out all of the different URLs and make sure that actually
Yeah.
that one's available, so that you can actually bag that and take that.
Yeah.
If people go there, can they actually sign up to a mailing list? Are you building a mailing list for people to?
That's something we haven't done actually. That a lot of people kind of keep recommending us to. So I think that's something we need to get on with actually.
I'll put
yeah.
that in the marketing plan.
Yeah.
The next week. There you go. A little bit of marketing advice on a Friday afternoon. Well, the best thing people can do in the meantime is obviously follow you on whatever channels that you're on, which is all of them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also we're on Bands in Town. So if people are looking for like live gigs and they if they follow us on Bands in Town, it also has a little emailer thing where we do email people from Bands in Town. So it's kind of like a mailing list, but not our own.
Like Bands in Town, if people haven't spotted that yet, it's great. It knows where you are, and then it pings you, and it says, you could go and see Slow Cook Bears tonight. While you're out eating your pizza, which is great.
Yeah.
It hasn't quite got to the point yet where it can combine the two. And say, right, so you can order your pizza and Slow Cook Bears will appear.
We'll deliver it. That's maybe the next thing. That's our next thing. Delivering pizza and playing a song as we deliver it.
Yeah. Might be an expensive pizza.
Yeah.
But you can have customized pizza and a song.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't that be a treat?
Yeah.
I've never seen a band do that before. Now
there we go. We've sorted it. This is how to cut through the noise. Just
it could be a deliver tune.
Yeah.
Just sing.
Yeah, I think we'd get into trouble with noise complaints, but
yeah. Did somebody say just sing? Yeah. I want this fast food and I want this band to deliver it now. And I'm willing to pay for it. So that's the funny thing these days, isn't there? There's somebody that's willing to pay for everything.
Yeah. Well, not that I would find that degrading. I probably would do that if someone offered to pay me to deliver their pizza and sing to them. But there was obviously a limit of what we would do.
There's a limit of crassness which we maybe not want to pass by.
Yeah.
Now listen, James, it's been fantastic getting to know you today. Keep in touch. As the next thing comes to be revealed, we'd love you to come back onto My Music and tell people about that. If you haven't checked out Slow Cook Bears yet, please do check out Slow Cook Bears. Follow them on whatever platform. If you like this, then you can subscribe to this on all the channels. If you don't like it, well, tough. I don't care because I'm going to carry on doing it anyway. That's just the way of it. This actually got in the top 20% last year as well. How about that? So,
wow.
So, which I guess for a music podcast isn't bad at all, is it?
No,
really?
No. All these small wins are wins, and we all forget that we live in a world where we're just constantly being told. Everything is analytics. There's metrics. There's always somebody bigger than you. So a win is a win. And
I don't really measure. The thing is to stop measuring yourself against everybody else.
Yeah, definitely.
And just be a success in your own lunchtime. That's how you measure success, folks. If you enjoyed this, then good. Have a great Friday. Go and listen to some Slow Cooked Bears now. Whilst you're eating slow cooked whatever it is.
Nice one.
Thanks for joining us today, James.
Thank you very much for having me, Graham.
Bye for now.
If you want a pizza delivered, just let me know.
Oh, will do.